Uh, it is. I believe it's a good morning for every one of us, and today we'll be tackling something different from the usual. Now we are focusing on the camera itself, its external structure, and also the internal structure. I can see Masinyakio saying that he can hear me. He's in Kiambu County, Limuru. So thank you, Masi, because at least now we know you're good and you're getting us. So I'm also doing good. I'm in Nairobi, and things are good. We hope for the best. So today we are focusing on the camera itself. There are some notes I shared on the ZDS platform. I don't know how many of us have checked those notes. I got other notes on the same topic that I'll be sharing, but I'll be using the same notes today to teach this class. As I proceed on with the class, if you have any question, you can ask through the chat box, or you unmute your audio, your mic, and you get to ask your question. Any challenges so far? If you have any, you can type on the platform. I know some of you by faces, and the majority of you we have not yet met, but I know all of you know me. I think I'm a celebrity in that studio. So if you don't know me, you can type there that you don't know me, and then I will show you me. So I'm trying to get my notes and see where we are. Those of us with audio, are we still together? Ludro Vincent, are we still together?
Yes, yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, I listen, and sometimes you just say yes, yes, so that I know we are together.
Yes.
And any other person who is getting me. I might lose the connection in between while I'm sharing my notes, so I may not know if the connection is still there. But if you respond, then I know that my connection is still good. So I'm trying to open my notes and see if I can share with you guys some of these notes. My screen will be up in a few and you'll be able to see it. So guys, with audio problems, do not hesitate. If you have any question, if you have any opinion, you can text on the chat box, and we get to know you, or we get to know what your issue is. Do not keep quiet. Okay, I'm trying to find my some of my notes. I have them. So somebody will tell me if you are able to see my screen so that we move together. And every time we do have this class, I do record the videos and I upload them so that it can be something of reference. If you need to see or to watch what we talked about, you can be able to get those discussions and class videos on the ZDS platform. Okay, so let me share my screen now. I'm all good. If you see my screen, please respond that you're seeing it so that I start teaching. Be able to see my
I can see it.
Hey, unaionea wapi bana?
audio yangu iko on. Are you getting me? I had internet connections. Okay. So are you able to see my screen? It's up.
Yes.
Can you be able to see my note?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Okay, all right. So reload your screen. Those who cannot be able to see, reload your screen and it will be up. Are we there, all of us?
Yes.
Can you hear me? I'm having a connection issue. I don't know what's happening yet. In the morning, I had a very smooth class. Guys, are you able to get me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Let me screen. My screen will be up. My screen is up. Can you be able to see it? Together with my notes. Somebody respond.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let us begin the class. Types of cameras. We have different types of cameras, namely the DSLR, as you know it. We had old school lens reflex. So this is an image of a DSLR camera. I hope all of us can see this image. Single lens reflex. And by reflex, we always mean this camera number 10, this mirror, the yellow mirror that is slightly slanted. That is what we mean by reflex, because it moves up and down while opening the shutter so that the light can get into number 9, which is the sensor. Sorry, not the number 9, number 7, which is the CMOS sensor. So the DSLR is the most commonly used camera nowadays. They are preferred by most photographers and videographers because of its good quality and high resolution images, and also it gives a platform for interchangeable lens. By interchangeable lens, we mean that you can remove this part of the lens and fix a different type of lens. The camera settings are also good because it enables you to have control of your camera using the manual mode, and it has advanced sensors, what we call the CMOS. That is terminologies that are used in engineering. So the camera is divided into few parts. The DSLR, it is divided into 3 parts, namely the lens, the body, and the viewfinder. I want to share some of the images. So are you able to see that camera?
Yes.
The Rebel T3i in front of your screen. Somebody respond. Vincent Ludro.
Yes.
Is my camera visible? Okay. All right. So we have buttons and some knobs that aid our DSLR to function. But before I go to all these parts of a DSLR, let us check if we have different types of cameras. So I've talked about the DSLR, and then we have the mirrorless camera. Mirrorless camera is still new in the market, very new. Some of us have not touched them. Some of us cannot afford them because they're expensive somehow, but not very. The mirrorless camera, as you know it, does not have the reflex mirror in it. So it doesn't have any mirror. That's why it's referred to as mirrorless. Because of that technology, it is lighter and it provides an incredible quality of image and especially video. So in my notes, I have written the camera body lacks a mirror that reflects light to the sensor. Instead, the light goes straight to the sensor. And the very mechanism or the mechanics that are used in this camera are the same mechanism that is used in your personal phone camera. All of us have phones, so I trust that you have come across Can all of us see this? Because I seem to have a lot of disconnection up. I seem to have a lot of disconnections. My screen, my network is a bit, I don't know why it's a bit shaky at this time, yet in the morning it was okay. So I don't know how we continue with this misbehaviors of the net. Are you able to see my screen? Because it seems I have a lot of disconnections. So as I was saying earlier, we have mirrorless, which the same mechanism applies on your phone cameras. We have compact cameras. Under compact cameras, we have standard, we have zoom compact, and we have advanced compacts. What these compact cameras signify, point and shoot type of cameras that mostly do not need any professionalism to operate them. They are very simple. So those are the types of cameras. Now I'll go to the in-depth of what these cameras have inside and outside. So I start with inside. Let me start with number one. If on your screen you're seeing number one is here, and it goes straight under the green panel that you're seeing. Under the green panel, here is the green panel, and that panel is number one. It is a matte focusing screen, which the light passes through the lens, and the light is indeed projected up through a series of glasses through number two, which is condensing lens, and then to number three, which is called pentaprism. So when the light enters, it hits the mirror, which is number 10. Then number 10 reflects the light up, and then as it reflects the light up, this mirror also reflects up, closing this upper part and allowing light to penetrate through to hit number 7, which is the CMOS, the sensor. The light that was projected onto the pentaprism, which is number 3, is then directed to the viewfinder, which is number 5, where you can be able to preview what you're aiming at. When you press, after previewing, when you press shutter, the reflex will up, indeed closing this part. That's why when you are taking a photo, after clicking, this place always becomes dark for a second after capturing the image. So after capturing the image, the sensor captures the light. It transforms the light into something meaningful that you can preview on number 6, which is the LCD screen. Up to there, nani hajaelewa how this light is reflected from the object to the camera? So, Alain, can you get me, Alain? Or any other person who is getting my audio can respond. So that I know if my connection is still there.
Yes,
Yes,
we're
we can.
getting you.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're getting
now
me.
I know people are listening. Okay. Let me go to this screen now, which is the camera itself. That is the structure, the outward structure of the camera, the front part. We have the shutter button, which is here. We have the mode dial, ile kitu mnazungushanga mkiselect which mode you want, either manual, auto, or aperture priority. This is the mode dial, and sometimes referred to as also the dial mode. We have the detachable lens, which is here. You can remove it. The first ring from your side, from this end is always the zoom ring, the ring that enables you to zoom in and zoom out. Then the first ring from the subject side, from the object side, is usually the focus ring, the ring that enables you to focus. And then we have the lens release button. You can press it in and be able to remove your lens. So that is the outward or the front part of the camera. Let me go now to the top part of the camera. Sorry. This is the front part of the camera. So under the front part of the camera, we have the focus ring, which I've talked about. We have the zoom ring, which I've talked about. And then we have the inbuilt flash, which is here. You can be able to trigger this flash and it comes out. But some cameras do not have an inbuilt flash. So whenever you do not have an inbuilt flash, always carry a flashlight, either a speed light or a different type of light like a strobe light. So we have the built-in flash, then the shutter button. If you want to take the photo, you press this button. Main dial is the scroll dial, where you can select which option you want from the menu. We have the ISO. I'll talk about the ISO as we proceed and what it does. We have the mode dial or the dial mode, this one. You have to press here so that you can be able to rotate this. And from this camera, the setting or the mode that has been selected is on P, which means program, and we have an alignment sign, which is the white line here. It enables you to align the mode. The mode that you select must be aligned with this white mark. So we have various types of modes, from manual, which is represented by M. We have the AV, which is aperture priority. I'll be talking about aperture priority and these modes later. We have the TV, which represents the shutter priority. We have the P, which represents program priority or programmable priority. We have A plus, which represents automatic mode. So those are the most important modes for you to know, but I'll be talking about those modes in depth. So let me go to a different side of the camera. This is the side of the camera. I've talked about built-in flash. Now we go to the viewfinder. This is where you place your eye for you to be able to see what you're focusing on. We have the flash button. So this button releases the flash release button. for it to be triggered. When you press the flash button, the built-in flash will come out so that it can be used. Then we have the focus mode switch. This switch, it is either you have it on the manual or auto. That means that when it is on the manual, you are able to focus this ring manually using your hands. But when it is on automatic mode, it means that the camera itself, the lens itself, will try and focus for you. So whenever you have it on auto, you're not supposed to touch this, or else you will damage the whole ring. So up to there, somebody respond. Are we together?
Yes, we are together.
Somebody respond if we are together up to that particular point.
Yes, we are together.
Okay.
Yes, we are together.
All right. Thank you for the response. At least now I know we are going together. Let us move on to
Yes, together.
something else. Depth of field. Okay, Vincent. Depth of field. Depth of field is the distance between your focal point, which is usually somewhere here from inside. The distance between your focal point and your subject. That is what is referred to as the depth of field. So if you want to see the distance, you press the depth of field and you'll be able to see. But not all cameras have this. And then we have this remote control terminal. If you want to be triggering your camera from a remote place for it to take a photo, you can connect it with a wireless remote trigger. We have the video and digital terminals. This is for the output signal, which if you want to replay your video or you want to transfer your files, you connect it via that port. Let us move on to a different angle, which is the front angle from your side as the photographer. This is what you'll be seeing. And for this is the viewfinder that I was talking about, where you place your eye. This is the LCD screen where all the information that you'll be working on appears. And then we have the menu button. If you want to select any option, this is the menu that you press for you to adjust some things. Here we have information. If you want information to appear on this screen, you press the info. If you want the information to disappear and the screen be empty, you press the info. We have the dioptric adjustment knob, which is this. It is just like a small Corolla which adjusts the focus of the viewfinder. It doesn't affect the image in any way. It just changes the focus of this thing from blurred to focus. Then we have the live view mode, which is this button. Live view button helps you to shift from taking a photo to recording a video. So if you press the live view record button, you will hear a click, and then on your LCD screen you'll be able to see live. If you want to record, this is the same button. You'll press it in and it will start recording a video. You can as well see that it has a red button here, a red dot, which simplifies recording. So we have the autofocus point selection. This is where you press for you to be able to select the parts that you want to focus on the subject. And then if it's a moving subject and you want to focus on some areas yet it's moving, you press the F point selection and then you press the auto lock button, which locks the image and the focus together so that you can be able to follow it up when taking some nice photographs. Maybe you are in a sports event, safari rally, you will have to use this button. We go to what we refer to as the exposure compensation. If you are in a place and you do not want to adjust your lights further or your ISO and shutter speed further, you can always use the exposure compensation. It adds more light to your photo. It has a limit of starting from 0 towards the positive side, positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it has some on the negative side. If you want to reduce the exposure compensation, you can reduce it from negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 6. Okay, it seems I've lost my connection. My screen has disappeared, so let me reconnect back. These are some of the challenges of living in Kenya because of poor kind of connection, not advanced. But very soon we are going to 5G, so everything will be okay. Are you able to see my screen? Somebody respond.
No.
No.
Okay. Okay. Let me reshare it. If you have any question, you can type on the public chat. Then after I finish presenting, we can be able to relook into your question. So I've shared my screen. I don't know why it's sharing. I'm trying to reconnect back my screen. So my screen is up. I believe everybody can be able to see. We continue from where we had left, at the front of the camera. So we have the white balance button. If you want to white balance your image, you press the WB button. I'll talk about the white balance as we progress on with the class. And we have the erase button, which you can erase any clip or any image that you recorded. We have the playback button, which is represented by this button here. If you want to see what you have recorded, you press this button. Then the capture slot, of course, it is on this other side. So up to that particular point, any question? Kuna swali? I will share this. I'll share this link just now so that you can be able to preview these tutorials and learn more about those tutorials. They will help you in one way or the other. So I'll share the screen. I'll share the link. I'm sharing the link on your chat, and also I'll share with you on the ZBS platform so that you can check on it. So let me continue notes. We progress on to a different thing. Yes, here we are. We had talked about the modes. This is the dial mode, which has MASP and auto. And here we have the information screen. This is what will appear in front of your camera, and mostly from Canon, because that is the mostly used camera, but any DSLR will almost have the same thing. Nikon will have a different information screen, but the most important is for you to know what every particular thing simplifies. So I want to add some things so that it can be simple to explain to you what everything means. So I want to add a simple text box. This will be shutter, so that it can be simple on the side, and you can be able to comprehend. So I'll text fill this to maybe red, and shape outline, let's say no outline. Shape fill, I'll say no fill, so that this is shutter speed, which I'll place it there and have it on bold. Guys, are we together? I'm doing this peke yangu. Somebody respond so that I know we are together.
We are together.
Okay.
We are together.
Okay. So this is mods. Don't worry, I'll explain about what I'm doing in a few. I want this to be here so that it cannot be confusing. And having this here. Call these aperture. You have these as ISO. And we have another one here. And we call it exposure. Compensation. Scale. So this is the scale that you'll be using. So we have there. Then we have another one. This is white balance. So those are the most important things that you need to know. On a Canon camera, you'll have these, which will simplify the mode that you have selected on this platform here. And then shutter speed is normally abbreviated as 1 over something. Then aperture is normally f, and then a number point something, that is aperture. And then ISO, which is measured from 100 to maybe 10,000 or even further, depending on the type of camera. And then here we have white balance, which is denoted here by AWB, meaning that this camera was on auto white balance. So that is how the information screen looks like. And I'll talk about the shutter, the aperture, and ISO together with the exposures. I won't talk about the exposure scale. I have, let me connect these so that they do not disappear. In the meantime, any question that you have, you can as well ask me. need to group this so that they can be one. Isipotee. Any question? So let me go to a different thing. What everything now means. And I will start with aperture priority. On your camera dial mode, you will find different options. And under the different modes on the aperture priority, you will find we have the manual selection mode, we have the aperture priority mode, and then we have shutter priority mode. We have the programmable programmable mode, and then we have the automatic mode. So the manual mode enables you to have control of your camera. You have full control of your camera, every setting. And then the aperture priority, it means that it is semi-automatic, whereby the camera will adjust the aperture on your behalf, but you will have all the other settings. So the camera controls the aperture for you, and you control the rest. So when you're selecting aperture priority, that is what you do. Let us check what aperture means. So aperture is the size of the opening in the lens through which light is allowed to pass through whenever the shutter is opened. The larger the aperture, the more the light passes through. So let me show you the where the aperture is, and somebody respond so that I know we are together. Are we together?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the image that you are seeing, the earlier image, this is where the location of the aperture is. You see this space? It opens and closes. The aperture is usually found inside the lens, and it is almost similar as your eye. As your eye. So the iris, the aperture is known as the iris sometimes, and the iris on your eye is the same as this iris, so it opens and closes. So how does it open? So whenever you see something denoted with an F number, what we refer to as f-stops, know that that is exactly aperture. And aperture is denoted by f stroke 1.0 up to maybe f22, depending on the type of lens that you're using. And on my image here, you can all see this image. We have this f2.8 up to f/16. And f2.8, it shows that we have a wide area. And then f16, we have like a small pinhole area here. So what this means is that when we have a small number, which is like 2.8 or even 1.5, it means that your lens can open up to 2.8 or 2.1. That means the smaller the number here, the wider the aperture. So if the aperture is wide, it means that it will allow more light to pass through. Then we have the f-stop 16, which means that 16 is a higher number, and so the higher the number, the smaller the aperture. You can see that the pinhole is more smaller. As we go down the number, the aperture opens up. F11 opens up a bit, 8.0 opens up, 5.6 opens up, 4.0 opens up, 2.8 it opens up fully. So whenever you're buying your lens, this is what we normally look for, because a lens that can open the aperture up to the lowest number, it is the best lens. You can see in my arrow we have more light, less light. So nani hajaelewa nimueleweshe ama nimuelewushe? Who is not understanding? Are we together, all of us? You can text down and tell me that we are together, because when I'm presenting the notes, it's hard to see who is here and who is not. Somebody? So let me assume that we are together.
We are together. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let us move on. So that was the aperture. Now let us go to shutter priority. We have the shutter priority here. Shutter priority selection on the camera will either be denoted by TV or S. So whenever you see TV or S, you know on the mode that is shutter priority. What shutter priority means? It means that you have the control of all the settings on your camera apart from the shutter speed. So the camera will adjust the shutter speed for you accordingly. So let us see what this shutter speed means. Shutter speed measured in seconds or fractions of a second is the amount of time the shutter stays open when taking a photograph. The longer the shutter stays open, the more light passes through to the sensor. So a shutter is similar to your eyelid. You open your eyelid and close your eyelid. So the shutter works in the same way. It opens up and closes. It is like a door. If you open the door, more light will penetrate through. If you close the door, no light will penetrate through. And if I lost my connection, so let me know where we left at before my connection disconnected. Somebody respond so that I know where to pick from. Somebody respond so that I know where to pick from.
We were talking about shutter priority, whereby we were talking about the shutter speed.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let me pick it from there. I'll share my screen in a few. Are you able to see my screen? Somebody respond. Is my screen visible? I see Lamak is trying to talk.
Yes, it is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Let me assume my screen is visible. Okay. So as I was talking about shutter speed has some kind of effect on an image. If you use a lower shutter speed, it will have an effect. If you use a higher shutter speed, it will also have an effect. Most of the time we use higher shutter speed and extremely higher shutter speed when my screen keeps on disconnecting. Most of the times when we are using a higher shutter speed, it is always maybe a fast moving event, either a safari, a sports event, or a movie, if you're shooting a movie. But when you're shooting a film that is standard paced, people are not moving that fast, we don't use a very high shutter speed, but we don't also use a slower shutter speed. We normally use 1/200 maybe for a video or a film. But on normal videos, like maybe you're shooting news, we normally use maybe 1/50 or 1/60. Rarely do we use lower shutter speed, when you're doing videos, because we will end up with some weird images. But for photography, always use sometimes slow shutter speed or a lower shutter speed for us to send a message or send a story. So are you seeing my images? Somebody tell me if you can see all these images on my screen.
Yes.
Somebody respond.
We can see them.
Somebody respond if you can see my screen.
You can.
I lost again connection, but I'm sorry, I'm now back. I think today there's an issue. So I was talking about shutter speed. If you can hear me, kindly type below. I see so many people have left. I don't know why. If you can get me, type on the chat box so that I see. We save the remaining time. So I hope I won't lose the connection again. Let me try and share my screen once again. I was talking about using lower and higher shutter speed. If you're seeing my screen, something rotating, if you can be able to see so many reflections of my screen, text there, chap chap, and then we continue. Good. I see people are seeing my screen. Now I hope you can be able to see my images. Now somebody respond with audio. Tell me he can see my images.
Yeah, we can see your images.
Okay, thank you. Now, what you're seeing here are the different effects that shutter speed causes using lower or slower shutter speed or a faster shutter speed. So, what you're seeing on my right side screen is a trail of light. You can see the trail of light here. Some beautiful kind of image that was captured at night. So in this image, this was a train passing, and it happened that shutter slow, so we did not capture the train itself, but we captured a motion of light passing because of a very slower shutter speed. And all these are the effects of a slower shutter speed. You can see this guy running. Are you seeing that image of this guy running? Somebody respond just on person audio is clear.
Yes.
Okay. So this image was captured using a slower shutter speed. These are the dangers of having a slower shutter speed. For video, we cannot use this. For images, for photos, we can use a slower shutter speed, but it all depends with the type of information that we want to tell. It's about a fast moving object, and you want to show us how the image was moving fast, then now we can use this. If you want a good looking, artistically looking image, you can use something of the sort. Let that photo open up. I hope I do not have an internet issue. Yes. So the image here you're seeing, you can see the person clearly, but the fast moving objects which were moving, the person was stagnant. We were able to capture him or her, the objects which were moving, we were not able to capture. This gives a very nice kind of image. It portrays a very nice image with multiple colors, very beautiful. So that is artistically, the information is artistically relayed. I know you have done this so many times along Thika Road, trying to capture these, maybe with your phone, but you end up capturing a trail of light. That is the effect of using a slower shutter speed. Now, let me move on to the effects of using a higher shutter speed on fast moving objects, and I will elaborate this using this very nice image of a strawberry and lemon inside the glass. You can see that the image was you can be able to tell that a very fast shutter speed was used for you to be able to capture these water droplets getting this strawberry getting inside the water and creating these a depression together with the water droplets all over this splash of water. With a slower shutter speed, you cannot be able to capture these. You'll only capture some very funny trails of water droplets. But with a higher shutter speed, we were able to capture this nice, very nice image. And all these, you can use these. When we come back to school, you can test all these stuff. And even at home, if you have a camera, a phone camera also can work. You can be able to capture these artistic images. You can see this image. This is a balloon filled with water, and then you use a needle to prick it and it will burst. But using a very high shutter speed, for you to capture this round design of water, you need a very high shutter speed. So these are the effects of using a high shutter speed. And if at all it's a fast moving object, maybe an aeroplane, maybe a bird on the sky, you will have to use a high shutter speed so that you can capture that aeroplane in its motion. Like for example, this image here. Are you seeing this image of a bird? Somebody respond.
Yes,
Yes.
it is
Audio.
visible.
Yes. Now this image of a bird was captured using a very high shutter speed for it to be captured without having the trails of light. So these are the nice effects that shutter speed can bring about. And kindly today, if you live near a road, just use your phone and capture the images. And this is serious because I will create a platform where you will upload these images within the course of the week and mark it as your first assignment using a slow shutter speed. And if you have a phone that you can adjust the shutter speed, you can as well play with the shutter speed using a higher shutter speed and a slower shutter speed. I understand there are some phone cameras that can operate with different selection mode. It has manual, some other cameras have manual. You have seen Masharia practicing this with students. Mumeona hii Masharia kama amefanya hapo nje ya Zitek. You can see this very nice image here. Somebody respond if you have ever seen this image behind the school.
Yes.
Next to the front gate. Have you ever come across this image? in our office.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this image, you capture it using a very slow shutter speed. What has take a burning steel wool? You light a steel wool, a steel wire for those who come from villages. Steel wire. So using a slow shutter speed, which we call it overexposure, you leave your sensor exposed very slow to a point that it may take several seconds or even 30 seconds for the shutter to click. You will click once and then take 30 seconds. So the shutter speed will remain open to the sensor and then click after 30. So you will have exposed this light to a very slower shutter speed, hence getting this artistic type of a photograph. So that is the use of slow and high shutter speed. I hope today you'll be practicing and take it as assignment 1. I will need for you to upload 3 photos, and in your photo you'll explain what was happening on your photo. So we move on. So under those things, there's something that we call the exposure triangle. The exposure triangle, let me try and find if we have something on the internet about the exposure triangle. The exposure triangle includes the shutter speed, the ISO, and the aperture. I know I have not talked about the ISO, but I'll talk about the ISO in a few. So let me open this image. Are you able to see this green image? Somebody respond with the audio.
Yes.
Yes.
So this is the exposure triangle. It combines the shutter speed, the aperture, and the ISO for you to be able to operate your camera well. For you to be able to get great results, you need to utilize the exposure triangle. They work hand in hand. So aperture, ISO, and shutter speed, they work hand in hand. Just like on a vehicle, you have the accelerator, you have the brakes, and you have the clutch. Without one of them, you cannot be able to operate. You cannot use a vehicle without brakes, you cannot use a vehicle without a clutch, and you cannot use a vehicle without an accelerator. So the same applies to photography and camera usage. You cannot be able to operate the camera without aperture, without ISO, and without shutter speed. But ISO only applies to photographic cameras, DSLR. For video cameras, you will not get ISO, you will get something else. It is called gain. So when you happen to get into media and when capturing news, do not expect to be given a DSLR camera. You will never be given a DSLR camera. In journalism, we use electronic news gathering. The kind of cameras that we bought the other day, the small ENG cameras, and also the big Panasonic cameras that I always have. When we resume school, if you want to come and see these things, you will come to my office. I will show you step by step what is meant. And we also have some historical kind of cameras ever since. So you can, if you resume, I'll take you through this. Even if you will have moved to the next level, I'll take the time and compensate some of these practical lessons, like showing you how these cameras looked like during those times. So this is the exposure triangle. It works hand in hand with your camera operations. So let me talk about ISO. ISO is an international standard organization. It doesn't simplify anything. It is just some quality assurance type of numbers. So the numbers range from 100 to 10,000 depending on the type of camera that you're using. We have even auto. You can decide to have your camera on auto, ISO. So the camera on ISO, you select auto, it will adjust the most appropriate ISO for you. So let us read what ISO from my definition means. It is a measure of how sensitive the sensor is to the light. The ISO sensitivity is represented numerically from ISO 100, low sensitivity, up to ISO 6400 and even above, depending on the type of camera that you're using, and controls the amount of light required by the sensor to achieve a given exposure. Remember, these will be reflected on your image. It makes the sensor itself sensitive to light. If you are together, can I hear somebody say amen, so that I know we are together? To is my connection still on?
Yes, it is.
Hello, is okay, all right. So let me grab some water. So as I was saying, ISO controls how sensitive the sensor is to the light, and the effect of having different sets of ISO, it is what you're seeing on my screen right now. Let me try and zoom it up. Sorry. Supposed to be somewhere here. Are you able to see those images, those two images, the low ISO and the high ISO? Somebody
Yes.
respond?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
when on a higher ISO, meaning that maybe we are using 800, 1000, or even 2000, it will have some effect on your image, and it will not be some nice effect. So only use high ISO when you are in a place where you have limited light and you do not have lights. But be in charge of your ISO. Do not exceed, do not be on extreme high end. Try and minimize your ISO number. So on this image, they used a higher ISO, and you can be able to see when we zoom this image in, you can be able to see what we call some grains on this image, or what we call video noise or image noise. Michele, like some pixelations inside the image. So this is the effect of using a high ISO. It will have, your image will not be that sharp, but it will have some grains around it. Compared to this image, which used a low ISO, And when we zoom on this particular flower, you are able to see that the image is clear and doesn't have any grains in it. So maybe this was around 200 or 300 or even 100. Always use the minimum ISO, which is normally 100. And if you are in a dark place and you do not have lights, adjust the ISO slowly as you go up and seeing the kind of effects that you have. You can use 400, maybe 600. But if you exceed 600, then you must be very careful with your image, because you will end up having a very poor kind of image. I'm done with ISO, aperture. If you are having any question concerning the 3 exposure triangle, kindly text on the text box, on the chat box, and I'll be able to see and reply to your question. So let us do something else, because I had talked about aperture priority, shutter priority. Let me go to the other modes now. We have the program. So program mode is almost halfway house between the semi-automatic modes of aperture, shutter, priority, and full manual mode. In program mode, you are able to set either the aperture or shutter speed, and the camera will maintain the correct exposure by adjusting the other one accordingly. As you change the aperture, the shutter speed will automatically change, and vice versa. This gives you additional freedom that using either aperture priority or shutter priority cannot give without switching between shooting modes. So this will give you control over something that you want to specifically change. If you want to change shutter only, you will be able to adjust shutter only, and the camera will do the rest for you, and it will adjust the others according to how you are adjusting your shutter speed. If you want to change the aperture only, you will change the aperture. The camera will adjust shutter and the rest of the settings accordingly. But also remember that this program, you can be able to save. The camera has memory that you can be able to save the selection and use it later, coming the following day and adjusting, trying to adjust. You can save the program that you have used. The following day, you'll just access your program and it will bring it back. And then we have manual. I don't want to talk about manual. Manual is just that you have full control of your camera. That is the mode that professionals use. Just like how professionals love using manual cars, the same way we love using manual settings, because you have control of your setting. And then we have the last, which I did not include. We have the auto. Auto mode is for amateurs, where you want the camera to do everything for you. Yours is just to point and shoot. But using auto has some kind of disadvantages. If you're in a fast-pacing environment, the camera, before it adjusts itself, it will take some time and you will have missed the shot. So it's always good and advisable to always use manual instead of auto. So up to there, do we have any question? Let me check if you have replied on the chat. Any question? So question, kama hakuna swali type no. Before I move to something else. let me mute my audio. So Lamek is asking about aperture. Hey, I want to play a video about aperture and how it has been explained, and let me know if you will get to understand. I've started. I'm gonna play a YouTube video with explained aperture, and then anything that you may not understand, I will recap. I want to share my screen, and please kindly respond with audio so that I know on your end you are getting the video audio. Respond if you'll be seeing my screen. In a few, I'll be sharing the screen. And kindly you respond with audio if you are getting the video sound or the sound on that particular video. Here we are. Are you seeing this video? Will tell out. Are you getting that audio?
I can't hear. No.
You can't hear. Okay, let me. No audio.
Yeah,
Let
there's
me
no audio.
see how it'll maneuver around. And Let me see how I'll maneuver around and we get audio. Mhm. Okay, I'm about to share the link and we watch the video. Are you seeing the video loading on your side?
Yeah.
Somebody respond.
Yes, it's now okay.
It is now loading, eh? Okay. Let us wait for the video to load. Is it audible?
Yes.
Somebody respond.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, hi. Now let us
Yes.
listen to it. Okay, let us listen to it. So that is the image. Basically, I think that video has simplified the whole class that we have had today. Lamek was the one who asked this question. Are you satisfied, or you need further explanation? Lamek?
I am satisfied. Thank you.
Okay, I will be sharing. Okay, I'll be sharing these videos because I have seen that they are good videos. So I'll attach them onto our platform, the ZDS platform, so that you can be able to download or watch at your own time. Or maybe you can watch a different video, but now of shutter speed. Sindio? Let us watch ISO first. Somebody respond. We watch for ISO.
Yes, we can watch for the ISO.
Okay. That is ISO explained. Up to there. Kuna ingine that you may think that you did not understand well, so we play a different video. I need response either through text or audio.
The explanation was clear. Explanation.
Okay. Any other issue apart from ISO and aperture? Any other concern? So let us watch the last one for shutter speed and see how shutter speed is explained. This is just like a recap of the whole class, but in a simplified form. So is it Vincent alone who was not able to see that video? Somebody respond, because I don't know if I should replay it or not. Ludro, are you getting me?
Yes, I'm getting you.
Were you able to watch the video?
Yeah, but the last bit of the video, I've not yet watched it.
The last bit.
Yeah, the last bit of the video, because I also have a connection.
Okay. So let me replay it from the middle, and then you watch.
Okay.
Let's take a closer look. Shutter speed is one of the three pillars of photography, the other two being ISO and aperture. Also known as exposure time, shutter speed is defined as the length of time the image sensor in a camera is exposed to incoming light. Before we go more in depth, however, let's take a look at the different parts of the camera that contribute to taking a photo. In a standard DSLR, when you press the shutter button, a mirror flips up, allowing light to pass into the camera instead of the viewfinder. Once the mirror is flipped upwards, a small door will move from top to bottom, exposing the sensor beneath. After that, another door will fall down, covering up the entire sensor. After the second door closes, your mirror will fall back into place. The doors will then reset to their original positions underneath. The longer the shutter is kept open, the more light will enter the camera. In auto mode, cameras will meter the scene and determine an adequate shutter speed to keep the picture from becoming either over or underexposed. You can manually change the shutter speed by either putting the camera in shutter priority mode, which will let you change shutter speed, letting the camera calculate ISO and aperture, or full manual mode, which gives you full control over all your camera settings. Shutter speeds are measured in fractions of a second when under 1 second. For example, 1/4 displayed on the camera means the shutter speed is 1/4 a second, whereas 1/250 means the shutter speed is 1/250th of a second. Most cameras can handle shutter speeds as fast as 1/4000th of a second, or sometimes even as high as 1/8000th of a second, and shutter speeds as long as 30 seconds. Longer shutter speeds can be achieved using a function known as bulb mode, where the shutter speed is determined by the length of time the shutter button is activated, either manually or through a remote trigger. It's good to know what effects different shutter speeds have, as it can affect the type of picture produced. Short shutter speeds, often quicker than 1/1000th of a second, are fast enough to capture the fast movement of wildlife and sports, and freeze water droplets and small particles. For everyday photography, shutter speeds around 1/100th of a second are fast enough to keep subjects from blurring. If you're shooting handheld, longer shutter speeds may also cause your shaky hands to blur the photo. Newer lenses from most manufacturers have attempted to solve this problem by introducing vibration reduction technology into lenses to correct for minor shakes. Night photography will often utilize longer shutter speeds to capture as much light as possible. Shutter speeds as long as 20 or 30 seconds may even be used to take pictures of the Milky Way. Knowing the principles of shutter speed will allow you to make better decisions about how you want your picture to look, whether you're freezing the action, creating a time warp effect, letting in a little light, or as much as you can. Though it's a very basic concept of photography, it is no less important than making a fantastic photo. Stay subscribed to Apple Apps for more animations about photography released every month, and stay notified by clicking on the bell icon. Thank you for watching.
So that is the end of that vid. Clear. So I will be setting the platform where you will upload your assignment. Take 3 photographs using your phone, then upload it. And remember to capture a fast moving object, and also if your camera has if your phone camera has the shutter speed options or the menu options for manual, you can be able to play with it, use a higher shutter speed and sometimes use a lower shutter speed and see the kind of effect. Remember, use your phone. Do not tell me that you didn't have a camera. I don't expect it to be shot on a DSLR. Just use your phone and upload it. Then I will create a platform. So visit the ZDS. When you're done with the assignment, you will see a platform where you can upload your assignment. Nitakuwa nimeandika assignment 1. Is everything clear? For those who can text. For those who can speak, and say that everything is clear up to that particular point.
Yes, everything is clear.
Okay. So we can call it a day and we meet next week. Mungu akitujalia. We have had a good time, even though the network was a bit shaky. But I hope next time it will be okay. I guess today there is an issue with the power around, so the internet keeps on fluctuating. So thank you very much for joining the class. Encourage also others to join in so that we may move and proceed to the next level within the duration of time expected. So thank you very much. Enjoy your week and the rest of your weekend. Keep safe and God bless. We meet next week.
Thank you, Mwalimu.
Okay.